Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss Science 10 Quarter 1 Module 1 with regards to the volcanoes, earthquakes, and mountain ranges. The objectives of this discussion is that after going through this module, you are expected to, number one, describe and relate the distribution of active volcanoes, earthquake epicenters, and major mountain belts to plate tectonic theory. Number two, enumerate ways to ensure disaster preparedness during earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. And number three, suggest ways by which one can contribute to government efforts in reducing damage due to earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. Now, first, we're going to discuss about plate tectonics. So when we speak about plate tectonics, it is the theory that Earth's outer shell is divided into several segments called plates that glides over the mantle, and then the plates act like a hard and rigid shell compared to the Earth's mantle. So, with regards to what is plate, now plate is composed of the crust and rigid upper mantle, which constantly moving in a certain direction. And then this plate is also known as the lithospheric plates. So again, plate tectonics discussed niya. This is a theory that explains that the plates are actually moving in a certain direction. And then this plate is also known as the lithospheric plates. Now, we have here a picture so that it is will be will understand with you what is meant by the lithosphere, because in the future discussion you will encounter the crust and then the lithosphere. So this picture right here, this will tell us that this lithosphere is actually composed of the crust, okay, together with the upper mantle, meaning to say crust is just part of the lithosphere. And then the upper mantle is also part of the lithosphere. And this, what we call lithosphere, is actually moving in a certain direction. And that is what is being explained in the plate tectonics. Now, there are actually two types of plates. Number one, we have the oceanic plate. And then number two, we have the continental plate. Now, what's the difference between them? Oceanic plate is more denser and thinner compared to the continental plate, while the continental plate is more thicker and is more less dense compared to the oceanic plate. Now, speaking of density, para di kayo maglibog, what is density? Now, this is an example of density. There are actually two objects, no? So the one in this portion, we have here the low density. And in this one, in this portion, we have here the high density. They are actually having the same mass because the formula for density is mass divided by its volume. Again, i-clarify lang nako, both of them have the same volume, but both of them have different mass. So if you try to look at the particles, this blue one, kani sila mga blue nga nag-circle, mas compact ang particles for the object nga na ay high density. Pero ang object nga na ay low density kay dili siya compact, which means each of these particles kay naaman ni sila mass even if they have the same volume, pero ang kaning high density mas dako siya og mass. So if i-try ta na og relate sa discussion nato with the plates, both the oceanic and the continental plates, kaning high density, this is the oceanic plates, kaya ang iyang particle is compact and is more dense compared to the continental plate wherein ang iyang particle kay dili kayo compact. Hope naatay ka ng agreement ani, hope dili ta maglibog ani in the future discussion kay kani silang duha, it plays a very important role in the discussion of the formation of mountain ranges and volcanoes. Now, we also have here the picture between the oceanic plate and the continental plate. So if the continental plate and the oceanic plate, based on the description or explanation of the plate tectonics, that these two are actually moving in a certain direction, so makakita ka direct arrow ng duha ka plates are moving towards each other. So if ever they're moving towards each other, ang denser plate, which is the oceanic plate, will try to subduct okay, kana mo pa ilubos mo bend downward, will try to subduct beneath the continental plate. Nga naman, because the oceanic plate is denser, so magbangga silang duha. Dili gud siya pwede mo saka sa babaw, but it will bend downward because it has a higher density. So hope klaro ta ha that the plates nga akong i-discuss puhon natay duha, we have the oceanic plates, ang usa kay continental plate. Denser ang oceanic plate, less dense ang continental plate. Thinner ang oceanic plate. Ang continental plate is thicker. Klaro? Next. So according to the plate tectonic theory that the plates are moving in a certain direction. So in this illustration, I will answer the question why. Why are those plates moving in a certain direction? Now, if you try to look at here in the mantle, you will observe na flow din ha sa mantle. Try to look at the arrow, nag-circulate din ha, nag-flow sila in a circular direction, kaning arrow dire. We call this as the convection current. Now, kaning convection current, kung unsa ang flow niya, it will influence the plate nga nasa iyang babaw. Try to look at this one. So ang convection current is going to the right. Definitely, ang plate sad nga nasa babaw sa mantle, again ha, ingon beta ganiha that the lithosphere is both the upper mantle and then the crust. Below the lithosphere is the mantle. So, ug naa ka din ni convection current sa upper mantle diri dapita, it will influence the movement of the plate sa babaw. So if this convection current flows on the right, therefore ang atuasang plate nga nasa babaw will move towards right. Then diri sa pikas, if nakita ninyo ang cursor sa kong mouse, na circular sad nga movement diri. This is actually again the convection current of the mantle. It also influenced the upper layer which is the plate. Kung unsa again ang flow diri sa convection current of the mantle, mausad na ang movement sa babaw which is our plate. Now, para makarelate ta og unsa ning convection current of the mantle, I believe each one of you nakatry na gyud ta og kanang pabukal og ininit, di ba? So once ang ininit nga inyohang gipabukal is nagboil na siya, you will observe kung tanawon ninyo sa takuri or sa kasirola, naglihok ang tubig ilawom dito, di ba? Because actually nagflow ang water sa ilawom because of the convection current of the mantle. And the main reason why nganong natay convection current of the mantle is because of heat. Tungod sa heat, ang particle of liquids nag-move. So kani diri sa bottom part, tungod kay duol sila sa heat, ang ilang particles will try to expand, will try to space out. So kung mo space out sila, just like the density nga kung gi-mention ganiha, kung mo space out gani ang particle, musaka siya sa babaw. Okay, so that is why you can see there the red arrow musaka sa babaw. Inigsaka sa babaw niya, diri dapita, inigsaka diri, ang temperature kinausab. Di ba sa ubos kay init, and then ning gain energy ang particle, ning space out, and then ning less dense, ning saka diri sa babaw. Pero ang temperature diri sa babaw kay less ang iyang heat, no? Dili kayo siya init. So once dili kayo siya init, ang katuihang particle mo try na sa tuog compress. So when the particle is compressed, just like the density nga akong example ganiha, back lang niya ninyo ang video, they will become more dense. So inig more dense na niya, mo naog na sa siya pa ubos. And then mainitan, space out becomes less dense, musaka sa babaw. Pag abot sa babaw, lesser ang heat, lesser ang temperature, mo cools down, and then mo compress, the particles becomes compressed. Definitely mo high density na sad siya, and then mo balik na sad siya sa ubos. Then kani siya nga cycle, okay, the sinking and rising of this material is what we call the convection current of the, depende, no? Convection current diri sa water sa kettle, pero diri sa to ang illustration, this is the convection current of the mantle. Kung magpabukal sa ka og ininit, once mo bukal na siya, you will observe na ang takob sa atong takuri or takob sa kasirula nga atong gigamit sa pagpabukal sa atong ininit, mag-move sad siya, di ba? That is influenced by the convection current. Then mo sad ni diri sa to ang convection current of the mantle. So kung asa ang movement sa flow sa convection current, ma-influence again ang plate nga naa sa babaw. Hopefully klaro ta ani nga part. Next, what are the result of the plate movement? No, we have um, the formation. Uh, so what are the results of the plate movement? So we have formation of different geological activities like earthquake and creation of geological features like volcanoes and mountain ranges. So ang atoang topic again, katugad niya, those are just the introduction. Karon we will be dealing with the distribution of active volcanoes, earthquake epicenters, and major mountain belts. May tag major mountain belts, we are actually talking about the mountain ranges. If you're familiar with mountain ranges, ang pinakasikat nga inyo nabawan siguro is the Himalayas mountain wherein diha na to makita ang Mount Everest. Now, this map, this is how the earthquake epicenter, the volcanoes, and then the mountain ranges are distributed. No? So natay legendary. Okay, the yellow one are the location of the earthquake epicenter. And then we have here the pink one. This is the location of volcanoes. And then we have the blue one are the location of the mountain ranges. And then this red line, this is the plate boundaries. So when we speak of the plate boundaries, 'di ba, ang duha ka plate are actually interacting depende sa ilang movement, just like this one kani. So diri dapita, this is the boundary of the two plates. Ngano man ang diri man ang source kung asa sila nag-separate. So nasa plate para ani ganiha diri dapita. This is also the plate boundaries kung asa nag-abot sad ang duha ka plate. So again, ang boundaries is unsay naa sa tunga between the two plates, no? Now, kani diring red line, these are actually the plate boundaries. Now, kaning direction, kaning naay mga arrow, these are the direction kung asa ang movement sa mga plates. So natay different plates nga gipang butang diri. We have the Pacific plates, we have the North American plate, we have the Nazca plate, we have the South American plate, we have the African plate, so on and so forth. Then napod diri ang atong gitawag og the Philippine Sea plate or the Philippine plate. Now, observe. If you try to look at the distribution of the earthquake epicenter, actually nag-follow siya, if you try to observe, nag-follow siya sa plate boundaries. Okay, most of them are following the plate boundaries. Try to look at it. Then sunod sad, if you try to look at the volcanoes, ang volcanoes sad, ning follow sad siya sa ug asa naka-line up ang katong plate boundaries. But although dili lang tanan, okay? Ang ato arang naklaro diri nga tanan yun nga plate boundaries kay naay earthquake epicenter. But ang volcanoes located siya along the plate boundaries, dili lang tanan. Klaro. The same also with the mountain ranges. This one, this is the Andes mountain nga naa sa South America. And this one right here is the mountain ranges, which is the Himalayas mountain, where we can find the Mount Everest. Now, observe again, mountain ranges, volcanoes, and earthquake epicenter are actually situated along the plate boundaries. Okay, based atong discussion ganiha, this one, natay na-create diri gani sa picture nga volcanoes. Then asa man siya dapit na locate along the plate boundaries. Kuha. So ingon man ta ganiha good, what are the result of the plate movement? So natay mga different geological activities like earthquake, geological features like volcanoes and mountain ranges nga ma-create mo nang if you try to look at the map, ang location sa tong plate boundaries kay naa sa dinha na locate ang different geological features and activities. So to sum it up, all areas with volcanoes and mountain ranges have earthquake epicenter. But not all areas with earthquake epicenter have volcanoes and mountain ranges. Klaro? So, if di ka ni masabtan, balik-balik ka lang tanaw ang ako ang video. Next, so yun sa man pag-form sa volcano. So how does volcanoes are being formed? Now, if you try to look at the movement of this plate, they are actually moving towards each other. No? Nagpangga ang duha ka plate, for instance. So unsa ganito nga plate ang mosabdak? Because it is high dense. Okay, very good. Ang answer is the oceanic plate. Ang plate nga dili mosabdak because it is less dense, this is the continental plate. Now, inig sagdak sa oceanic plate. Unsa may tabo sa iyahang dulong, or we call it the leading edge niya. So the leading edge of this oceanic plate, I'm sorry, the leading edge of this oceanic plate will move towards the mantle, and then when it reaches the mantle, obviously, it will melt because ang mantle kataas man ang ihang temperature. When there is heat, when it will be melted, the the material of this plate will actually become will space out in the particles, and then it will rise up on the surface because it becomes less dense. And then ang ineg-rise nila sa surface kaning mga magma or the molten rocks nga mosaka dito sa babaw sa ato ang continental plate, which is above no na sa atong continental crust, mo form na siya og volcanoes. And then if this event will continue to happen, unsa may mahitabo, magsigig saka ang magma sa babaw, it will goes out to the vent of these volcanoes, and then these volcanoes will eventually erupt. So this is the process of volcanic eruption. So this is made by nature. So ang ato ang plate nag-continue lang gyud siya og sabdak diri, then sa sige niyag sabdak nagsige sab ka melt ang ato ang leading edge sa plate, forming molten materials or magma. It turns into magma, rises up to the surface, mugawas siya sa surface. So ang magma mugawas sa surface, we called it lava, and when it cools down, mahimo siyang igneous rock. And then the formation of this igneous rock as decompiled on the surface of the earth, mag-create siya og volcanoes. And if there will be continuous supply of magma, eventually these volcanoes will erupt. Claro? Next. We have here the formation of the mountain ranges. So this is again, the two plates are moving towards each other. Nagbangga na sad sila. But in this case, unlike the volcano, ang usa ka plate sa volcanoes is, nga nagbangga sa pag-create sa volcanoes is the oceanic plate, ang usa kay continental plate. In the case of the mountain ranges, ang duha ka plate nga nagbangga are both continental plate. So do you think na ay masabdak between them? Wala. Ano man, because both of them are less dense. So unsa may tabo, they will buckled up just like this arrow, musaka siya sa babaw. When it buckled up, it will form mountain ranges on the surface of the earth. And here, ang famous mountain ranges nga atong nabaw-an, the location of the Mount Everest is located along the Himalayas mountain. So again, the formation of mountain ranges is during the collision of two continental plates. Claro? Walay mo sabdak because both of them are less dense, and definitely they were buckled up, forming forming mountain ranges on the surface of the earth. Is that clear? Okay, okay. Balik ta sa atong mapa. So ang atong distribution of earthquake epicenter, volcanoes, and mountain ranges. If you try to look at the Philippine island, na dire, kana akong gibutangan og arrow. If you try to look at the Philippine island, our Philippine island is actually located along the plate boundaries. So it is expected that we can find the earthquake epicenter in all areas of the Philippines, and we can also find volcanoes in all areas of the Philippines. Nasabtan? And then volcanoes and earthquake are actually disastrous. So sa may atong reaction ani kay Pranilupi ni Siagit kay Nakuyawan. Ano man? Because volcanic eruption, again, daghan kayo ma-damage na not only the properties but dili ka ka-prepare na eventual matimingan ka nga wa jud ka mo ikya sa imong lugar, wa ka mo evacuate, then mamatay ka. Okay? The same also with earthquake. Kung wala mo gamit sa earthquake drill, paksit, no? Basin matrap ka inside sa building, o kay idea og asa unsay imong buhaton, so ma-injured ka, or pinaka worst nga may tabo, mamatay ka. So again, ato ning katuno, no, ang kanang mga disaster like earthquake and volcanic eruption. In our school, sige man tag drill, no? Sige tag earthquake drill, and that is again preparedness, no, para if ever na earthquake may tabo nya nagklase ta, aware ta og unsa nga ato ang buhaton. And then good thing in Arcelo kay layo ta sa volcanoes. Ang nearest volcanoes sa ato ang area sa atong school kay naa sa Negros, which is the Mount Canlaon. But again, layo ra kayo ta sa tanan, so dili ta, I mean safety ra ta with regards to volcanic eruption. But kita is duol ta sa fault line, namatay fault line diri sa Cebu. Actually, ang locations are silo is 7 point something kilometers sa fault line. Prone kita sa earthquake. That is why we will continue doing the earthquake drill. Bisan gani karon nga pandemic, gipa earthquake drill ta dito rapod sa inyong balay. Then you will just send pictures dire sa inyong advisors kung nag-perform ba gyud mo og earthquake drill. So, again, kaning mga disaster nga mahitabo dapat naatay buhaton ani nila, we have to do something para dili ni siya maka-affect sa ato ang life. Now, before discussing this volcanoes and earthquake epicenter nga mahitabo sa ato ang uh, country, ato sa discuss giunsa pag-form sa Philippine Island. Now, naay duha ka plate nga nagbangga sa pag-create sa atong Philippine Island. Now, ang ato ang plate nga nagbangga, we have here the Eurasian plate and then the other one is the Philippine Sea plate. So when these two plates are colliding, so again, kung kinsa to ang oceanic plate, kinsa denser will subduct. And then the subducted plate, okay, this area right here, because of the uh, intensity of the mantle, it will actually melted and then turns into magma, rises up on the surface. Inagrasaka niya sa surface, actually before dire plain ra gid ni dire nga water, no? Ocean water ra gid siya. But because sigigsaka ang molten material sa surface, nahitabo nga naka-create og island dire. And these islands are just again, ang kani siyang island kay these are just the molten materials nga gikan sa ilawom sa plate. Okay? Nisaka sa surface and then ning solidify because ning bugnaw man ang atong surface compared sa mantle. So ninggahi siya forming islands. Pero ang nakakuyaw ana ato ang country is this is actually volcanic island. So bisan asa diri nga area diri sa ato Luzon, Visayas and Mindanao, makakita jud ka og volcanoes. Klaro? That is why ang ato ang country is again very risky because it is located along the plate boundaries wherein daghan kayong earthquakes mahitabo. At the same time, there will also be volcanoes nga ma-form. Although wala tay mountain ranges diri ha, because kanang mga mountain ranges sir, it's because ang nag-collide nga plate is continental which is less dense, ang usa is oceanic which is high dense. So naay mo sabdak. So definitely dili ka kita og nimbakled up kay dili man na sila both continental plate. So this is again how the Philippine Islands are being formed. Next. So we have also here diri sa inyong libro no. Um, risk for volcanic eruption. So if you try to look at Cebu, kay no risk siya. Nga naman wala man tay volcanoes diri sa Cebu. So kamo na lang unyay pangita sa mapa ni unsa ni ubang places diri, but again if you try to look at the map, Luzon, Visayas and Mindanao kay naagi areas nga high risk for volcanoes, medium risk and low risk. Because again, this our Philippine Islands are the volcanic islands. So speaking of disasters, since volcanoes and earthquakes are again ang common disasters because of the plate movement in our country, natay four thematic areas nga i-follow, no? So ang kaning four thematic areas, actually mo ni ang buhaton for the disaster risk reduction and management. So first is the prevention and mitigation, pag-iwas at pagbawas sa epekto ng peligro. And then the second one is the preparedness, paghahanda. And the third one is response, pagtugon. And then the fourth one is rehabilitation and recovery. Kani sila, this is cycle lang ni sila, no? So meaning to say, if we try to prevent a disaster, dili jud ka mo stop in a certain thematic area, no? It will continue the process. For example, unsa may buhaton nato before, during, and after. When we speak of before the disaster, we're dealing with prevention and preparedness before the disaster. Example, atong gibuhat sa school as part of the prevention, mitigation, and preparedness. We are doing earthquake drills. 'Di ba? So pag doon na earthquake drills, kay bawta kung sa buhaton na to during earthquake. So pwede na to ma-prevent ang injury but dili ang earthquake ha. Pwede na to ma-prevent nga ma-injured ta. Pwede na to ma-prevent nga matay ta. Obviously kay nga naman prepared man ta kung sa atong buhaton during before the earthquake kay nag-anda man ta during the drill. Okay? So that when it comes to the actual na gyud no, sa earthquake na dili na drill, kay na to sa atong buhaton. And that is gikan siya sa prevention and preparedness. So if may tabo gyud nga nailinog kay na ta sa atong buhaton, and then naatay response no ato ta sa evacuation site, and then inighuman dito sa evacuation site naaray systematic process wherein makauli ra sad mo sa inyong balay. After that, dili pa man mo pabalikon diri sa eskwelahan. We are now part of the rehabilitation and recovery. Unsa may tabo diri sa rehabilitation and recovery is that ang atong school dili na siya diretso pa eskwelahan o estudyante. It will be assessed no. It will be assessed by the certified person nga ilaha ng trabaho kung okay ra ba nga mabalikan og eskwela nga tuang eskwelahan. So this is part of the rehabilitation. Then after that, dili ta mo stop. Muna kung pasabot, dili ka mo stop in a certain point. Mubalik gyapon ta og prevention and mitigation. Nako ha. So mag-prepared na sad ta. Ano man, ang disaster di man na muundang sad. Magsige mo nagbalik-balik sad. So kani siya, this is just a cycle. But dili dapat ma-missing ang isa. Kung wala kay prevention and mitigation, unsa man imo i-prepared? Kung wala kay preparedness, unsa man imo i-response? Kung wala kay response, paksit tanan. Nako ha. So kaning four thematic areas are very important in dealing with a certain disaster. So this is happened before, during, and after the disaster. So what to do during earthquake? So if you notice, sige mo tag-discuss ano balik-balik na ato lay review balik. So drop, cover, and hold on. Kana kung naka inside sa building. Then first and foremost, you need to calm down. Dili jud ka mag-panic. Then kung naka sa inside sa building, you have to stay away from furnitures or sa mga falling objects, especially sa mga windows or kanang na mga kisame nga gabok. So as much as possible, mupalay jud ka na din ang area nga naman, buak na, mapiksan ka, and then you will get injured. When you are outside, stay away from the buildings kay possible mahugno na siya. Go to an open space. Period. Nako ha. Next, when you are driving a car, kuno, example lang, nagsakay mo sa kenan. So, if you're driving, stop in a safe place, no? Stop in a safe place. Dili ka magsigirag yung drive pa dayon sa imong gibati. You have to stop in a safe place. Then, if ever naka sa imong wheelchair, no? If you use a wheelchair, put the brakes on it kay para dili na mudaga ng imong wheelchair. Then, kung naka sa crowded nga place, if you're in a crowded place, protect your head with your arms or take cover under seats and table. So, kung nakay kakabiran, you have to cover it, diba? So, kabiran nimo imong head, especially kung nakay pwede masungan diya sa ilaw, mo man na atong gibuhat permi sa drills na to sa eskwelahan. So, we have to drop, cover, and hold. So, this is what you do during earthquake. Now, for the volcanic eruption, although wala tay volcanic eruption na may tabo diri sa Cebu, but in case lang puhon, ug asa mo puhon magpuyo, nya dool mo sa area nga na volcanoes, then ato lang ni siyang ipalo, okay? Ang volcanic eruption na sila kanang alert, na sila mga alert level. So dili na siya diha dayon mo buto unless na mga instances nga mukalit og buto kana wag itay mahimo ana. But usually nagi na sila mga alert level. Naay gunay mag-observe na nga ato ang P-box. Now, once gani na siya sa kanang certain alert level nga need mo evacuate, then you have to evacuate. Follow any evacuation order issued by the authorities. Then after that, naamoy radio, naamoy radio dito, so you have to listen and say update. Nakuha? You have to listen and say update. Di kay, abi kay tan-aw nimo okay na ang activities sa volcano mo, balik ka sa inyong balay. You have to always listen to the updates. Then keep as much of your skin covered as possible. There will be ashes good permi nga magawas during volcanic eruption. And then kanang sa makakosa na sila og mga allergies. So magwear sad ka og dust mask. Then protect your eyes, no, wearing goggles. Bring animals and livestock if possible. Then close all windows and doors kay musud din na ang katong mga dust. Then if naamoy mga first aid kit o lifeline kit, so magdasan mo ana. Then you need to always have to bring your cell phone. So then kwaon ninyo ang mga emergency contact number. So kaning emergency contact number dire, this is just an example, no? But if naa gani mo'y kuan kanang as much as possible kani mag-download mo og kanang emergency contact number dire sa tuang area sa Liloan, so that by the times kanay mga emergency case kay ba mo asa mo manawag. Nasabtan? So again, if there are topics dire sa ako ang discussion nga dili dayon mo ka-follow, then i-message lang ko. And I do apologize nga late ang ako ang response kay na-busy jud mi last week. Then again, kani dire all photos used in this presentation were taken from the web, so no copyright infringement intended. And then if there are concerns, issues, i-PM lang ko. And then right now, o karon nga time, maka response na gid ko sa inyong mga concern. Then if there are things nga dili masabtan sa discussion diri, i-try lang pod og search sa YouTube or balik ka lag tanaw ang ako ang video. Thank you. Then sunod na sad nga video nga akong i-post is the discussion sa module 2.